Hi everyone, welcome back to the final session of our winter watercolor painting series. I'm really happy to offer this last one to you all, and I look forward to so many more. Today you're going to need those basic supplies, the paint that we've been using, assorted colors, brushes of varying sizes, some water, salt for sprinkling if you would like it, and a little rag and some water, and of course your paper. So supplies are the same, you can gather them up, and today we're going to work on a simple landscape with a barn. I've been doing a lot of walking here through the woods, and the barns are amazing, and it just inspired me to want to paint one with all of you. All right, see you back here. Okay, so I have started with a simple sketch on my paper. I have created a path going up, and it starts out large at the bottom, and then it kind of winds in to that more narrow to show that depth. I've added a few trees in the front, and then the barn, and I'm planning to put some pine over here, cedar and pine tree over here. So just to start off, we'll kind of go through our colors again. We have our Payne's Gray, sap green I've been using. We have a little of our Viridian green, which is also great to use. The ochre, a neutral tint. And that's all I'm going to have out for now. I also have my other palette, which I do use, my Winsor & Newton. So I kind of mix them up and blend them in, and that's what I plan to do today again. So I'm going to start with just the flat wash in the background. Going right over these pencil lines. I'm just going to take it all the way up to the edge of the barn. And then around the barn. I do want to have a white snowy roof, so we'll keep that white. I'm going to go right up to the edge of my page today. I'm not having any tape, but you are welcome to use tape if you like that look, which many people do, and I do too. So it's up to you. All right, so I have my light wash there. I'm going to go for like a grayish sky today. So I'm going to get my neutral tint out and put it right there. And mix up a nice light version of it by adding a lot of water. And then I also have my Payne's Gray, which will also come in handy. So I'm going to start by just getting it nice and light in here with my water, kind of making that wash. Get some on my brush, and I'm going to go right up from the bottom here, tapping lightly, and let it just kind of extend across however it will. Again, embracing that kind of curiousness of this paint and what it's going to do. We just don't always know how it's going to move across the page, which is part of the beauty of it. Okay, so let's spread that out. Sometimes the paper will curl a bit. You can just flatten it back out after it's dried. Okay. Going for more of a flat wash here, but I do like a little bit of those kind of gradual changes. And I also want to have kind of an area that's sort of whitish back here, or at least lighter than the rest of it. So I'm just going to move some of that paint off with my brush. There we go. Do it over here a little bit too, just to give the sky some movement. Okay. All right. I'm gonna pull that right up to the edge of the barn roof and then blend it out. So using a flat brush is helpful for this, if you have one. If not, just do the best you can with what you have. All right. Okay, yeah. We'll just let that dry. I'm going to add some little bit of that ochre in. So I'm going to get one of my smaller brushes and have my ochre here. So I'll put that out. Again, if these kind of mix in, I'm actually looking for that to happen, kind of maybe by accident or maybe not, but it's okay if your paint does kind of mix together, you know, right on your palette if it's not very clean. That's okay. So I'm just going to add in some little specks of this ochre today to my background here. And let's see what happens here. Just love experimenting with watercolor paint. Okay, I'm going to add in the path here. So this will be a snowy path, but considering it's kind of a driveway, it may have a little bit of, you know, snow kind of caked into the sides and whatnot. So I'm just going to lightly wet some parts of it, not all of it, just to keep some of it kind of that white. And I'm going to dip into my neutral here. And I'm just going to let it go in. See what happens here. Maybe add a little of that gray. Some gray in. I'm using this palette that I have already pulled out, so not getting any more colors out right now. Lightly tapping the paint in to the water, and I'm even just mixing it right on my palette, the two colors. I love the way that the neutral and the gray look as a really rich dark tone. This is giving us our shadows. Just going to extend some of those shadows out over to here. Keep with that illusion of depth that we're starting to pull in. Okay. And I feel like this is going to be a less is more painting, meaning less paint, less blending, and just kind of really be simple and simplified with it. I'm going to move into working on the barn now. I want to leave all of this to set and dry for a little bit. And I'm going to get a small brush. It's not too small, but a pretty small brush. And I'm going to leave, remember to leave the white on the roof. And then I'm just going to kind of add water here that's a little gray at this point from my paint, right onto the sides of the barn. And on the roof side that is facing me, and then the side where the door is too. All right, now I'm going to mix a little of my sap green in with my gray and my neutral, just to see what color I come up with here. You can feel free to create your own barn color. Maybe you want to go for red or tan. It's really up to you. White even. You could do very light gray washes and just have it be more of a white barn. Maybe a red door or something. Okay. So many beautiful old barns here in Maine where we live. Okay, so stop tapping that in there. Oh, I like that green. Okay, so I do like the way that looks there. I'm just gonna fill in. It's a good color. You don't see this color too often, but that's the best part about painting. You can kind of use your imagination a little bit and see what you come up with. Of course, a photo reference is always great too. If you ever are somewhere, the beach or something, and you want to take a photo, or the forest, and bring it back home and create a work of art based on it, taking what you want from it and leaving the rest. Okay. All right. Okay. It's kind of a little uneven down there, which I'm really okay with because it feels like it could be snow piled up. We pile a lot of snow around the house and my studio because it actually keeps it so warm. So people do that, and kind of also just does it naturally here. All right, I'm gonna white out some areas. Some a bit lighter in some spots. Oh, the paper is really curling up today. I'll get some strong tape. Alright, okay. Alright, I'm going to add just a little of that dark neutral to the edges of the barn. And then blend them in. Making sure that my brush is pretty dry. If you have a napkin or you just want to wipe it off with your fingers. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry, and and then add the door and the window in there. I'll probably just take a little bit of a wet brush and pull this in because it looks like it just didn't quite get to the edge there. So watercolor can be a bit unforgiving, but if you catch it at the right time, I think it can work. All right. Now, I think I'm going to add a little more of that shadow in here just with this watery paint because it kind of just has this nice neutral tone on it. So I'm going to put some of it right down here on the front and the side there. And now I'm going to start just doing the bottom parts of these trees. So let's try to flatten this out here. Here we go. I'm going to start with this one. Go up with my tree trunk with some water. And just go right up to here. Only because this isn't dry enough yet. So I'm not going to attempt to go into that yet. Okay, if at any point you feel like you need to stop the video and catch up or anything like that, go right ahead. I'm mixing in right now some ochre and also some of that neutral, and it looks like I'm getting a really great brown. So I'm going to just dab that in at the base of each tree, and I might do a little more up here at this part. And then I'm going to rinse it off, and I'm just going to use my dry, I'm still using that tiny brush by the way, just going to use my more dry brush and pull this down. So this series has really been a lot about using the wet on wet technique and exploring that and how it's done. We've done a lot of landscapes, which has been really great, I think. You'll have to let me know what you all think. And we've done a little bit of some drawing techniques, which I think are really important and needed for creating some of the depth that we've been sort of seeking in a lot of these landscapes. So I think we got a little bit of some drawing skills in too. Keeping it simple though. And the one thing about paint is it's very suggestive. We don't have to draw every leaf and every branch and every detail, right? We can catch a lot of the feeling and the essence of things just by doing a little bit of it, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna go back into my windows and my door, and I think I want to do a brownish maroon door. So I think I will get out a little bit of my red here. And this is cadmium red. I'm just gonna put a dot of it down there because I don't need a lot. Alright. And just going to dip it in my gray, that brown that I already had made, and then some red, and I'm going to kind of see what it looks like. It looks like a good color. Making that, and I'm not going to do any more water on this because I don't want it to extend out too far. So I'm probably just going to do a small door and then wet my brush, getting most of the paint off, and then just finish off that square shape with my small brush. And even a smaller brush would be great for this. This is my tiniest brush, so dip back in that paint and kind of square that off a little bit better. The barn doors are always big. Okay. And then any other details that you want to add onto your barn, you can. I'm going to pop a window up there. Get my ochre. Just tap that in there with my tiny brush. There it is. It's sort of bled out, which I like. I'm going to leave that. And any details that you want to add into this barn, you certainly could. You could do a little more outlining if you want around the edges of it. Could add texture to the side if you wanted to do some lines to show some kind of a siding or a wood slat. And adding a touch of dark here. Around the edges, just a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to use my medium brush for the trees, medium small, because I don't want them to be too thin, but I don't want them to be too thick either. So I don't want to use the skinniest brush for that. So I'm going to see how it is at the top in the sky. It's dry enough for me to go back in with the, may outline that window again. See if it's dry enough. I feel like it may need just a little more time. And if yours does and you have a blow dryer handy, you can always blow it dry. I'm just gonna let that dry for a moment. Okay, so this seems like it's dry enough, especially these ones over here. So I'm gonna get that small brush that I have and use that to work on these, getting these trees finished. So I'm just gonna take my wet brush and top there. Getting a few branches, going into my ochre and my neutral tint again. Even add a little red, get some brown. That one is just about done now. Adding some branches coming off all the way up and going to the top of my page today. Really having a lot of fun with this and not worrying too much about how it turns out, but just enjoying the process. Okay, a couple more here. Blending up a bit from the base. Looks like I need a little more paint on my brush. Get that wash going again. Dipping in my water and making that tone and checking to see how dark it is on the side of my glass jar that I'm using for water, or if you have an extra plate you can always check it that way. Seems to be a good color. Taking those trees right up. I'm going to take some of this brown from over here and move it into this tray. And just do a little dabbing with some different textures, different colors in there. It starts to give it that more alive look that we talked about in the past. Maybe not in other tutorials. Maybe it's not realistic, so to speak, but it's your style. Maybe it's your own take on what something is when it's alive and how it looks and how it feels. So you can experiment with laying paint down on the paper into those tree trunks. And then just so that it is dark enough over that horizon line in the distance, I'm just going to put some dark, really dark color in here to make sure that it looks like it's in the front, which of course it is. And then this one, I'm looking at my barn, it still looks a little bit wet. I'm going to do some trees over here, just a few, and then I'll come back over in that barn. So I'm going to get a slightly larger brush here. And I'm actually going to use my older brush. It's a bit more rounded, which will be nice for this. I'm just going to give us the illusion of some trees back here with our sap and our sap green and our ochre. A little bit of red mixed in and some of that neutral tint. So very lightly dabbing it in, letting it blend with the water. More green in there. Rinse my brush and just take some water right on over. And I noticed up here it kind of started to pool. So I may try to go into that a bit. Or maybe I'll just leave it. We'll see. Alright, I think that's good there. Do just a few more branches up the top here. Take it right off the page. This way, really filling our space, creating that composition that's, I think, really full with a lot of elements, like drawing our eye to different things. Alright, so we can do, I like just wait for that little bit there to dry, just to make sure. I'm just going to add a couple of shadows with that wash again. Maybe going in and getting some of that gray too. And then just start at the base, and whatever direction you want to go here. It looks like the light in this could be coming from this direction, so I'm just going to pull these shadows here like this. Just let them reach across, and then the branches may also be lightly leaving some shadows in the snow. So just add some lines here, softly, lightly. And if you need to add any more of that dark paint around the base of your tree trunk to make it really feel like it's sitting, you could just do a little bit of dabbing at the bottom there. A tiny bit. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go for this this final tree. So definitely be sure to send your paintings my way. I would love to see them. If you were doing them and maybe not posting them in the chat, that's okay. I would love to see them if you have done them and want to share them. You can email them to me at charlottes5@gmail.com. I'll post that. Or however you'd like to send them over to me. Instagram is also a great space to connect images in. sort of blended in there in the barn. Can't say it's bothering me too much. I sort of like it. Could absolutely wait for it to fully dry and then kind of go back in and outline and get those edges. I will probably do that, but I'm gonna let that dry because I just really like the way that looks right now. So I'm just not gonna do too much more with that. And then as far as this up at the top, it really doesn't bother me too much. May just fold my paper a bit over to get it to lay better. And then thinking I'll just wet it. So taping the paper would prevent that from happening because we did have more of a flat wash. And then what happened is the paper began to curl. So taping could help with that from happening for sure. But kind of just looks like a cloud. I just extend my tree branches up a bit and just turn it into a cloud there. Yeah. All right. So let's get this dry. And